I can't believe you, I said to my girlfriend, Teresa, after her friends had left. What are you talking about? She asked. As if she didn't know. I heard what you and your friends were saying about me. I'm not deaf, you know. About how I'm more like a pet than a man. How I'm more like your little lapdog. I argued with her. I didn't say that at all, Dan, she shot back at me. No, what was it you said again? I asked. You know I don't like dogs, he'd have to be a lap cat. Nice of you to stick up for me. If you were more of a man, I wouldn't have to stick up for you. If I'm not man enough for you, why don't you leave me then? Oi, we heard muffled through the walls. We'd apparently disturbed the neighbors. Some of us are trying to sleep. Teresa looked at me teary-eyed. We were just having a joke, Dan. I thought you were bigger than that. Maybe you would make a better pet than man. She turned around, stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door. Well, looks like I wasn't getting any tonight. I proceeded to get the sofa ready as a makeshift bed. I went on to think about why I had got so upset. Admittedly, I wasn't what most would call a man's man. I wasn't short or skinny or anything. I was 6'2" with a decent build. I was what most would call a gentle giant. I hated conflict and confrontation. I just couldn't rise to it. If I could make other people happy, I would. Maybe that's why Teresa's friends saw me as a lapdog. I was always running round after her, getting her what she wanted. But if she was happy, then I was happy. The only thing that I hated was the way she took advantage of me being so timid. She would regularly emasculate me in front of people, always take the lead in the relationship and make me the butt of jokes when we were out, knowing I wouldn't stand up for myself. This was actually the first time I had confronted her about it. I woke up the next morning with a strange sensation. I normally sleep in just my boxer shorts, but this morning I had something round my neck that jingled when I moved. I got up and looked in the mirror. Someone had put a thick black choker around my neck. Hanging off the front was a gold disc with Kitty engraved on the front and Teresa's name and phone number on the back. Also attached was a little bell. I was fuming. I tried to pull it off, but it was like it was glued to my skin. There was no buckle or anything for it. Teresa, I yelled to the bedroom. I stormed in and she wasn't there. She wasn't anywhere in the house. She must have left early. What kind of sick practical joke was this? I had to go to work. I tried phoning her, but no answer. I ended up leaving her an angry voicemail. Fortunately, it was dress down Friday in the office, so I should be able to get away with wearing a scarf over it. I'll look a bit weird though. I got ready in jeans and a hoodie, wrapped a scarf over the top of the choker in a way that would stop the jangling or at least muffle it. I got into work after the short drive and sat at my desk. My friend Johnny came over. "Hey dude," he said, his usual greeting, "what's with the weird walk?" I wasn't walking weird. What was he talking about? "Whatever, what's with the scarf indoors?" he asked. What was up with the questions? "I'm getting a bit of a chill," I replied. "I'm not feeling too good." "You don't look too good either, you look a bit drained." That was probably from sleeping on the sofa. "And are you wearing lipstick?" Had Teresa put lipstick on me as well without me noticing? I rubbed my hand over my lips, but nothing came off. I showed Johnny. "Well, they're looking very pink and a bit swollen as well, mate. I think you might be having a reaction to something." Worried, I got up and walked to the men's toilets. I was walking weird. Like I was putting all of my weight onto the balls of my feet. I could walk normally if I consciously thought about it, but it felt really strange. I got to the toilets and looked in the mirror. My lips weren't just pink, they were a bright, shiny, neon pink. And Johnny hadn't been joking about them being swollen, they looked huge. I was freaking out now. I pulled my scarf up over my mouth and went back into the office. "Johnny," I said, "I'm really not feeling good. I'm going to go home and see if I can get in at the doctor's." "No problem, mate, I'll cover for you. Get yourself away." I got in my car and had to move my car seat forward slightly. Was it slipping back? I tried phoning the doctors, but there was no answer. What was it with people not answering phones today? I had no choice but to drive home. When I got home, I saw that my hoodie sleeves were starting to bunch up around my wrists. They're just stretched a bit. That must be it. I had another look in the mirror. My lips hadn't got any bigger or pinker, so that was something. Maybe I was fighting off whatever reaction I was having. Then I noticed my hair. It was about 2 inches long when I normally kept it closely shaved. This was easily settled though. I had some clippers in the bedroom. 10 minutes later and I had near enough a skin head again. I turned my attention to food. I was starting to feel pretty hungry. Although looking in the kitchen didn't help. It's not that I didn't have any food in, I just didn't fancy any of it. I didn't know what I wanted, all I knew that what I wanted wasn't here. I was just about to have a walk to the shop when I looked in my mirror again. My hair was around 2 inches long again. Not only that, but it was pink. The same pink as my lips. My stomach started rumbling really badly. I could sort the hair out later, but right now I needed food. I pulled my scarf over my mouth and my hood over my head to hide the hair. The shop was only a short walk away. But when I got there, I still couldn't find anything that I wanted to eat. My eyelids started to feel heavy and my vision went a little blurry. I was feeling lightheaded too. I walked into a random aisle, filled my basket with random food cans and went to the checkout. "That'll be £9.84 please," the checkout girl said. I reached into my wallet and pulled out a £10 note. Was it my imagination or were my fingernails longer? "Keep the change," I said. "Oh wow, cool," I shut out. The girl said, "You know, a lot of people would freak out by a guy wearing makeup, but I think it's kinda cool." Thanks," I said as I quickly left. Walking home, I noticed I was walking heavily on the balls of my feet and my heels were right off the ground. Not only that, but some pink hair fell into my eyes and I could feel my hoodie getting fuller and fuller as something was tickling the back of my neck. I burst in through my front door and stood in front of my mirror again. I was wearing eyeshadow. Neon pink like my lips and hair, but this was glittery. I also had on thick black eyeliner and thick mascara, making my lashes look incredibly long. I took off my scarf and hoodie to view the rest of the damage. Long, thick locks of bright, neon pink hair fell down to my shoulder blades. How was it growing so quickly? And why pink? Also, my entire frame seemed slimmer and despite me standing on the balls of my feet, my trouser legs were touching the floor. Was I shrinking? When I saw that my fingernails were also bright pink, that was the straw that broke the camel's back and I passed out. I awoke on the floor, surrounded by pink hair. How long was I out for? I could feel something pulling down on from my chest. I could hazard a guess at what, but I didn't want to believe it. I looked at my arms and saw that they were completely void of hair. My clothes felt so baggy on me. I started to pick myself up as I was covered in a curtain of pink hair. How long had it grown? I looked in the mirror. The first thing to strike me was the hair. So long and so thick. It fell down below my bum, but was so thick and wavy at the same time with a sweeping fringe going across my forehead. Girls would kill to have hair like this. I had definitely shrunk. I felt like I had lost at least a foot, but when I noticed that I was still standing on the balls of my feet, I realized that I must have lost more than that. I was definitely shorter than 5 foot. My face had definitely changed. Everything was softer, smaller, cuter. My lips, while still plump, didn't look ridiculous, I just looked like I was pouting. My eyes had turned pink and looked so big and wide. I essentially looked like a real-life manga girl. I let go of my trousers to open my shirt when they and my boxer shorts fell to my ankles. My bum was small but bubbly, and I was definitely a girl now. The vagina with a thin strip of pink pubic hair confirmed that for me. I quickly pulled my trousers back up with one hand while undoing my shirt to have a look at my girls with the other. They looked huge. Creamy white pink nipples. They looked bigger than Teresa's, and she was a C-cup. That was when I realized, despite everything else I was wearing being far too big, the choker was still fitting snugly to my neck. No gaps or anything. Did the collar do this to me? Does that mean Teresa did this to me? I tried phoning her again, but still no answer. I realized then that I hadn't eaten from earlier. I was starving. I picked up the shopping bag to see what I had bought. Cat food? All of it was cat food. Why the hell had I bought cat food? I was just about to throw the can across the room in frustration when I saw the picture on the front. It did look good. In fact, it was the only thing I'd seen all day that I had fancied eating. I walked into the kitchen, one hand holding up my boxer shorts still. I'd given up on the trousers. I'd end up tripping over the legs, licking my lips at the thought of what I was about to eat. I opened a can and poured it into a bowl, mashing it up with a fork. The chunks of meat and jelly looked like the most delicious thing I had ever seen. That was when the strange got even stranger. I put the fork down, pushed my mouth into the bowl and greedily chomped the meaty chunks down, licking the bowl clean. When I was finished, I felt that I had bits of food all around my mouth, so I licked the back of my hand and wiped the food off using that. That was when it clicked what I was doing. I had eaten cat food. I had eaten cat food, like a cat would. I had cleaned myself off, like a cat. I was wearing a tag-marked kitty. Was I turning into a cat? I couldn't be. How many neon pink cats do you see running around? That was when I could feel more changes happening. I ran back into the living room to look in the mirror, my bell jingling madly as I did. I felt it on my forearms first, thick, pink hair growing quickly, but this was too thick to be hair, it was more like fur. The thick fur completely covered my forearms but left my hands and upper arms clear. The same happened on my legs, between my knees and ankles. More fur. What was happening to me? I felt something warm gathering in the back of my boxer shorts. Had I shit myself? It wouldn't have surprised me given what was happening to me, but no, this wasn't coming from my anus, it was coming from the base of my spine. And it was furry. I pulled my boxer shorts down to reveal a black, furry tail growing out of me. I tried to yank it off but it was firmly attached. And still growing. It didn't stop until the tip could brush the floor. I wasn't done yet though. I felt a tingling in my ears. I brushed my thick hair back just in time to see my ears shrinking into nothing. I went deaf, they left only flat skin in their wake. It didn't take long for my hearing to come back as two pointy ears, covered with black fur, poked their way through my thick pink hair. Cat ears. A slight itch in my eyes as my pupils turned to black slits, and that was where my changes stopped. I didn't want to admit it, but I looked unbelievably cute. I looked like an anime cat girl. I was a cat girl. There couldn't possibly be a better term for what I had become. I heard the message tone go off on my phone, my first contact with the outside world since I'd spoke to the checkout girl. I went to where I'd left my trousers and got my phone out. Maybe it was Teresa, maybe she knew how this had happened and could change me back. I looked at the message, it was from an unknown number. All it said was under the bed, Kitty. What was under the bed? I ran into the bedroom and looked. There was a small suitcase marked Kitty. I pulled it out, put it on the bed and opened it. Clothes. It was then I realized that all I was wearing was my oversized work shirt. I lifted the first item out. It was a frilly black tutu, with neon pink laces and trim. I suppose a skirt of sorts made sense. I couldn't wear anything now with individual leg holes because of my tail. I slipped it on and tied the laces at the waist. Next was a corset. Again black with pink laces and trim. I slipped it around my waist and hooked it up at the front, my breasts fitting comfortably in the cups. There was no alteration needed with the laces, it fit my tiny waist like a glove. Finally was a pair of platform pumps, with an 8-inch heel. The perfect height to fit the new arch in my feet. They were open-toed to show off my painted toenails. I knew all of this was wrong. I was Dan. The 6-inch too gentle giant. Not this petite little cat girl wearing a corset and tutu. Then I heard keys in the front door. I ran to the living room to see who it was, my little bell jingling away. Teresa walked in. "Hey there, Kitty," she said in a sing-song voice as she walked over to the sofa and sat down. I froze in terror. My girlfriend had seen me as this little cat girl. I was embarrassed and terrified. "Don't be scared, Kitty, Mummy's not going to hurt you," she said as she patted the area of the sofa next to her. I nervously walked across and sat next to her. "That's my girl, let Mummy give you a scratch behind the ears." That felt so good. A strange noise came from my throat. Was I purring? I didn't care if I was. I pushed my head onto her lap and lifted my legs onto the sofa so I was laying down, my tutu rustling all the way. Teresa started stroking my thick, pink hair. "You'll never shout at Mummy, will you, Kitty? Not like the nasty man who used to be here." "No, because you're my little kitty girl. My darling little pet." As she stroked my hair, I felt so relaxed as I purred away into a gentle sleep. Ready to start my new life as Mummy's kitty girl.